In a forgotten kingdom far away, two brothers ruled with strength and grace. But behind their perfect world hid a secret so dark it would bring their entire kingdom to the brink of destruction. But before we begin, if you're drawn to stories with mystery, meaning, and the otherworldly, to legends passed down as truth, then this is the channel for you. I share new stories each week, drawn from folklore, forgotten history, and strange events that linger at the edge of belief. So tap the like button and subscribe with all notifications on so you never miss what's next. Let's begin. Long ago, in a distant land, somewhere in between the islands of India and China, there lived two brothers. Both were kings, and they each had their own country. One day, the older brother, he had realized that he hadn't seen his younger brother in years. He sent his most trusted advisor, carrying lavish gifts and an invitation for his younger brother to visit. The younger brother gladly accepted, excited to reunite. As they're preparing the boats, getting ready to leave for the palace, he realized that he left a gift in his bedroom. So he secretly went back to get the gift. When he arrived at the older brother's palace, he was pale and distant and kind of hollow-eyed. Even though the older brother was very happy that he got the gift, he didn't really want to bring up his younger brother's somber appearance. He just left that alone. He thought, you know what, maybe in a few days it'll get better. Days passed, but the younger brother would just kind of sit at his bedroom window, looking out, staring vaguely into the distance. Then, one morning, while looking out at the royal gardens, the younger brother witnessed something. He saw the queen. It was obviously the queen because she was wearing her royal blue silk robes, and she went from her chambers and secretly went behind this column that you could only see from his brother's window. Then he saw a man. Obviously, it was not his older brother. It was a man wearing the royal kitchen staff clothing. And they came together, and you could tell that they had done this before. They were touching, and they were giggling and holding each other. It was unmistakable and unforgettable. Then the younger brother rushed to tell his older brother what he had seen in the garden, that the queen had been with another man. And he said, not only that, before I came to this palace, when I was in my palace in my country, when I went back to get your gift, I saw my wife with one of our servants. She was betraying me as well. That betrayal had broken him, and he had carried that pain with him all the way to his brother's palace. Hearing both of these, the older brother was shocked. Both of the brothers were just consumed by a rage. Everything around them just started to remind them of the betrayal. That was it. The older brother had heard enough. He said, I cannot be here. I need to leave the palace. I need to leave the kingdom. The younger brother said, yes, let's get out of here. They didn't speak of where they were going and slipped out when no one was watching. Eventually, they found a modest sailing skiff at the edge of a quiet cove, small enough for just the two of them, yet sturdy, with a single mast and a set of oars. It was meant for fishing along the coastline, but with enough determination, it could go farther. With no plan but escape, they set the sail and pushed off, rowing when the wind failed, and they headed out into uncharted waters, trying to just totally forget what had happened. Their aimless journey eventually led them to a desolate shoreline, where the sea churned and jagged rocks lined the beach. They disembarked their small fishing vessel and began exploring the narrow passages between the boulders, the crash of waves echoing off the stone of walls. Tucked into the cliffs, they found a cave, dark yet inviting. Inside, the walls were lined with strange markings, giant etchings carved deep into the stone, written in a language they did not recognize. The air grew colder as they moved deeper, and soon they found themselves standing at the edge of an underground lake. The water was very still and silent, and the whole place felt very cold. At the far end of the chamber, half shrouded in mist, they saw skeletal remains on the ground, tangled with rusted weapons and shattered armor. Just as that happens and they get this cold shiver that goes down their spines, they heard this rumbling in the rock. They started to back up. They hid in the shadows alongside the wall. They looked at the lake, the water that was once still start to stir, and rising from the black depths of the lake emerged a figure, a towering, monstrous genie. And with him, he was dragging this glowing crystal casket. His attention was totally consumed on this casket, and he walked straight out. The brothers waited until he was gone, then crept to the cave's mouth and peered out. Down by the beach, the genie trudged across the sand with the casket. They went down and hid, their small boat hidden on the far side of the rocks. The brothers, half crouched behind a ridge, watched in awe and terror as the genie knelt on the sand. The creature placed the casket down and unlocked it, one padlock at a time, with keys of blackened steel. As the genie opened the casket, this soft light comes out of the casket, and then appears this woman. Her skin gleamed like moonlit ivory, her hair cascaded in waves of deep obsidian, and her eyes shimmered with a hypnotic depth that seemed to pull the breath from their lungs. Her beauty was not soft and sweet. It had this dangerous feel to it. Now the genie, though, totally entranced by the beauty of this woman, had gently laid his massive head on her lap. And she stroked his brow, and then very quickly, he fell into this monstrous, thunderous sleep. As he was sleeping on her lap, the woman was looking around, almost like a hunter scanning the brush. She looked over in the brothers' direction. Now, they were hiding. She couldn't see them. As the genie's snores filled the shoreline, the woman gently lifted his head, got up, quietly walked away, and headed straight to where the brothers were. She appeared before them with an unsettling smile. Without hesitation, she began to speak, not with fear, but with a casual confidence. She told them how the genie had this fierce jealousy and how he had locked her away in this crystal casket and put all these padlocks on it, and she had to be trapped at the bottom of this lake and could only get out when he let her out. But despite all of this, she was boasting that she had managed to betray him and seduce other men. Not once, not twice, but many times. Now, at this point, her voice was low and coaxing, and each word was laced with suggestion. She wasn't trying to warn them. She was basically daring them to fall for her like so many others did. Now, the brothers looked at each other, and they knew what they had to do. So the woman's voice was growing louder, sharper, almost like she wanted the genie to hear. At that point, the brothers just took off. They bolted straight for the boat. As that was happening, she cries out to the genie. The genie wakes up in this thunderous, snore. Comes up, she yells, they're getting away, they're getting to the boat. The genie snaps, takes off after them, running down the beach. They jump into the boat, they push off, and they start paddling as fast as they could. Their hearts were pounding like war drums. The genie's voice just thundering after them, promising death. But the brothers did not look back. The moment the boat crossed into deeper waters, the genie then stopped. He howled with this rage. He was either unable or simply unwilling to pursue them into the deep ocean. They continued rowing as much as they could until they finally were totally exhausted, and they looked back and then they saw that the island was just a distant speck away from them. At that point, they were haunted by what they had seen, and they returned home totally changed men. They were sickened by what they now believed to be the true nature of women: cunning, disloyal, and driven by hidden desires. These were men who had ruled with fairness, who had loved their queens, and had served their people with great honor. But now, this betrayal, and the betrayal of what they perceived as all women would do, had hollowed them out. Consumed by this fury, the older brother returned to his palace and seized the first woman he saw. He married her that very night, and the next morning he had her executed. The next evening, he did the same thing. He took a woman, married her, the next morning had her executed. Again and again, night after night. Each night, a new bride. Each morning, another execution. No woman was spared. His kingdom which was once a land of joy and music and singing, became a land of fear and mourning. Until one brave woman stepped forward, the daughter of the very advisor who had faithfully served the king. Despite her father's desperate pleas, she was determined to end this madness. Night after night, she told the older brother stories so captivating, so enthralling, that he couldn't bring himself to end her life. Each morning, as the executioner was awaiting the king's command, he would just wave it off. He'd say, just one more night, just one more tale. Night after night, this is what was happening. He told himself, I'm just curious. This is just for entertainment. But the truth was actually deeper. Her stories had stirred something in him, something that made him question the path of destruction that he had chosen. And so, each night, the sun would set and she would begin again. And each dawn, he would spare her life, eager for what came next. The story you've just heard is the beginning of the legendary collection known as 1001 Nights, a series of tales dating back to ancient Persia based on an older work called The Thousand Stories. Over centuries, storytellers from across the Arab world, India and Egypt, added their own voices. Though full of magic and wonder, many believe these stories echo real history. Some, like the tales of Sinbad, are tied to real places and figures, blurring the line between myth and truth. In some parts of the world, they're still whispered as stories that just might have really happened. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and share this story with anyone who loves adventure, mystery, and tales that transport you to worlds filled with intrigue and magic. I'll see you in the next story.